Good morning. This is pretty amazing. I didn't have to shout or anything. You just everybody just quieted down right in the moment with such great anticipation, I'm sure, right? My name is Tony Fisher. I serve this congregation as minister with great delight and gratitude to you. I am very grateful this morning to be welcoming Frank Walker and Irene Williams from Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church. They're here to deliver a message. This holiday season, both of our congregations, without consulting one another, I have to say, are focusing our generosity on Youth Haven, an organization here in Collier County that does incredible work for young people who are out of their homes for one reason or another. And so our Social Justice Committee and Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church are also working to help, at least financially and in other ways, to support that institution. And Frank is here to share an invitation.
Good morning, everyone. It's so good to see all your happy faces.
Right up to your
morning.
mouth, Frank. That would be great.
I just want to bring you greetings. Myself and Irene Williams, we are members of Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church, the oldest African-American church in the downtown Naples area. We are hosting our first annual Christmas banquet. And our Christmas banquet, we did not want it to be a banquet that we focused on the church. We wanted to focus on outside organizations such as Youth Haven, and we wanted to focus on helping children that don't have the abilities to be able to be with their parents or be with their families. They're in the Youth Haven program where they are there looking for a stable home, looking for a parent to come into their lives, or some of them have aged out where now they're in the program until they're 18 and they go off to college. So we want to be a church that are out in the community during the Christmas holidays, helping those that are in need, especially during the Christmas time. It gets cold. Children, they tend to need, whether it's a blanket to wrap in, or not just a blanket, something to enjoy during the Christmas holidays while they're on break, such as toys that they all want for Christmas. But this magical event will benefit the Youth Haven of Naples, providing hope, healing, and a home for abused and neglected children in our community. Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church wants to come together to support an incredible cause while enjoying a night of fellowship and elegance. We're having the Christmas banquet on Saturday, December the 14th. The time will begin at 6:30. And at the location, it's going to be at Top Notch Entertainment Center, which is on Collier Boulevard in the 34114 zip code area. They have two locations. Do have flyers that I've given to your pastor.
And they're out on the table as you go out the door.
In the foyer area. Your pastor, we want your support, as your pastor will be our speaker for that evening. Yes. And our mistress of ceremony is the Collier County NAACP chapter, Vincent Keys, his wife, Diane Keys. And the tickets for the event is $65, and a portion of the proceeds will go to the Youth Haven of Naples. And we do have sponsorship opportunities, and there's a packet that's out there as well that will go over everything with the levels of sponsorship. So we have 4 different sponsorships. We have a bronze sponsor for $500. We have a silver sponsor for $750, a gold sponsor for $1,000, and a platinum sponsor for $15. And on the flyer, you can scan the QR code to book your ticket or book a sponsorship, or you can also call the church directly if you're not into the scanning of the QR code. You can call us, and we'd be more than happy to come where you are, or meet at the church, or come here and meet with you to go online and assist and help. There will be the children of Youth Haven. They will be there. We're giving them an opportunity to speak, not only speak, but we're also giving the board members of the Youth Haven to be able to come and talk more about the program. But I thank you all for your time, and I'm happy to be here, and I look forward to seeing you all on December the 14th.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you so much, Frank and Irene. I'm looking forward to the event. As you know, Diane Keys is a member here, and she'll be sort of the MC. And also, we know that Jody Basogno, one of our members, is the Chief Operating Officer at Youth Haven. So we have tremendous ties both to Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church and to Youth Haven. So thank you so much for being here this morning and sharing that information. And welcome to Patty Bryan, our worship associate this morning, to share in the welcome.
Frank. Thank you, Frank's mom. Good morning to all of you. It's great to see everybody. I welcome you, old friends and new, as we come together to practice the art of community. We're all growing and learning here, trying to live out our deepest values out loud. We're especially thankful to those of you who have just recently found your way to our doors. We hope that we can help you find ways to connect with all of us and the ways that meet your needs. We want you to find comfort and love here. Please look back to at the back of your order of service, a skinny sheet you got when you came in, and you will find our mission statement and our new vision statement that was drafted by the congregation just this past spring. Both of those say a lot about who we aspire to be. Okay, now let's relax and settle ourselves into this time of worship with the prelude.
We meet on holy ground, brought into being as life encounters life, as personal histories merge into a communal story, as we take on the pride and pain of our companions, as separate selves become community. How vital is our need for one another, our silent beckonings to our neighbors, our invitations to share life and death together, our welcome into the lives of those we meet and their welcome into our own. May we capture this treasured time and celebrate our meeting in this time and space, for we meet on holy ground. Let's join together in our chalice lighting. The words are on your order of service or on the screen. In the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment, we gather this day. May the flame we now kindle be to us a symbol of the unity we seek. And let's rise in body or spirit and join in singing our opening hymn, number 40, in the gray hymnal, "The Morning Hangs a Signal." Words are also on the screen. Beautiful. Please be seated. It's good to see some returning faces this morning. Always good to see you back from the north or wherever you've been, and also to feel the energy that you bring with you. We're all grateful for that. And just in time for this coming season of Halloween, of Samhain, of Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead, All Saints' Day, All Souls' Days. Times where we come into contact both with life and death, recognizing those we've lost, acknowledging our own mortality, playing around a little with death in a somewhat safe way. It's a time steeped in story and in myth. And even as we're drawn into the celebrations and the stories, sometimes our intellectual minds sort of react against the superstition that underlies the overriding myth. And this push and pull is what we're going to be talking about today. Myth has been interpreted from many different viewpoints. As a primitive, fumbling effort to explain the world of nature, as a production of a poetical fantasy from prehistoric times, misunderstood by succeeding ages, as a repository of allegorical instruction to shape the individual to the group, as a group dream, symptomatic of archetypal urges within the depths of the human psyche, as the traditional vehicle for man's profoundest metaphysical insights, as God's revelation to his children. And myths are really all of these. For when we look at myth, not in terms of truth or falsehood, but of how myths function, of how myth has served mankind, humankind in the past, how it may serve today or in the future, myth shows itself to be fundamental to our needs as individuals, to our species, and to the age in which we live. We need to take a new look and understanding at the subject of myth. Myths, in fact, were not meant to be fact in the way that we think about it. These ancient stories were experienced in ways that were much more concrete and sensory, much more in the body than in the analytical mind. They excited a sense of wonder and mystery. They fed a need for connection, not just in the moment, but across space and time, a sense of connection to past and to future. When our ancestors created a bowl or went off on the hunt, they were embodying those stories and the characters in their actions, and it was important that they match what those important characters in their lives did. So why is myth relevant for us in a time when scientific understanding of the world has taken hold and provided such practical utility? Who needs the stories of the constellations or the Greek or Roman or Mesoamerican tribal mythologies? Some of us wonder why we need the myth of scriptures. Haven't we thrown off the dogma and the superstition? Yet, as sociologist Robert Bellah argues, myth is a fundamental part of human nature. It's not something that we can separate ourselves from. We tell stories about who we are as individuals and as a people through myth and narrative. It's the way our brains are wired. Each of us is operating with a particular worldview, and pieces of that are based in fact, and pieces of that are based in fiction. And we need to understand that and be aware. And we're also talking today about myth because myths, among other things, were fundamental to the establishment of the major religions we see in the world today. And on Wednesday evening, we begin a year-long look at world religions, starting with the subject of myth, but then looking to understand how religions translated those myths and used those myths as they were formed, especially in the first millennium BC. First, however, let's center ourselves into a time of sharing and reflection with our centering hymn, Find a Stillness. The words will be on your screen. Please remain seated.
Find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the
We take this time in each service to recognize our community and to share among one another those things that we're carrying in our hearts, things that are close personally, not an event or anything political, but something that you're carrying, a joy or a sorrow that you'd like to share with the community. If you'd like to share, please raise your hand. I'll bring you the microphone. Tell us your name and what you're carrying in your heart, joys and sorrows.
Hello, this is Joanne Womack. I have a deep sorrow. My dear friend that I knew more than 40 years committed suicide last week. Excuse me. He had 2 prior attempts on his own, taking overdoses of opiates, and they left him in bad shape. And each time his wife intervened. And a year later, he had not given up his desire to die because he had so much pain in his body. And so finally she relented. She went with him to Vermont, where they have assisted suicide. And this past week, it happened. So he's gone. We're very sorry to lose him, but we're also glad for him that he won't hurt anymore.
Thank you, Joanne.
Hello, my name is Brittany, and I am overjoyed this morning to hear that we're reuniting with this other church. My sisters and I were troubled kids that were taken to Youth Haven 2 times, and it made a huge difference in our lives. It saved our family. We were able to be reunited, and I'm so excited to hear that we're going to join forces, so that's it.
Thank you, Brittany.
I'm Michael Finkel, and Dina and I have a great joy. Our daughter, Dina, is a civilian lawyer with the Navy, and she has been involved with several projects to clear mistakes that the Navy made in times of prejudice. And the latest one was to overturn the dishonorable discharges for over 800 people who had been discharged for sexual behavior, as they put it. And for her work, she was given what's called a challenge coin by the Secretary of the Navy last week. So we're very proud of her.
Anyone else? Grateful for those great sorrows that have been shared and those joys. Recognizing all the joys and sorrows that reside in this room, in our individual hearts that remain unspoken. Let's center ourselves in our chairs, deepen into a time of meditation. I invite you to find a comfortable position and allow yourself to be present in this moment. See if you cannot let go of some of the tensions you're holding. Let your shoulders relax. And with each in-breath, breathe in peace. And without breath, breathe out love. As we breathe together, You might direct your thoughts to stories that have had an impact on you. Stories you've heard, stories you've watched, experiences you've had. Think of how these stories have shaped you as you travel through this world. Reflect on the heroes and heroines of your personal mythology, people whose lives you followed, figures, mentors, friends, teachers from the past, the challenges they faced and overcame, how their journeys inspired your own path. Even as we navigate in these troubling times, let us be grateful for the power that story has on us, the courage and the wisdom of exemplars in our lives. The stories that speak of our deepest values. The narratives we weave that both help ourselves and help others make sense of the world and our place in it. As we sit here together, may we realize that we are already writing a story of community, continually in the making. Let's share some time in silence.
Tales of Gods and Heroes by A.I., who has done quite a lot of writing. I'm kind of expecting A to get a Pulitzer or a Nobel Peace Prize or something. Tales of Gods and Heroes. In tales of gods and heroes bold, where dragons soar and stories unfold, a hidden truth, a whispered rhyme, reflects the heart of every time. The serpent's coil, a primal fear, the phoenix's flame, rebirth held dear, the labyrinth's maze, the mind's own quest, in every myth, the soul's own test. The fall from grace, the human plight, the siren song, the lure of night. These ancient threads, those spun in dreams, echoes of our deepest schemes. For myths are not mere fantasies' flight, but mirrors held to human light, where love and loss and joy and pain in timeless tales forever remain. So, listen close. Beyond the lore, the truth of myths forevermore, in every hero, every beast, the human spirit is released.
How many of you have seen the comet that's in the night sky? Just a few, not too many. How many of you knew there was a comet? That's right. Well, that's good. At least being aware is okay. Actually seeing it is something special. This comet hasn't been seen from the Earth's surface in 70,000 years, time when both Neanderthal and Homo sapiens first or shared the earth together. It appeared about the time language appeared in the world, though some may think language started a bit earlier. Think what the appearance of a comet like that meant to folks in the ancient world. What a threat it might be to the established set of the stars. For the stars were truly important in the cosmology of ancient peoples. They looked up into the night sky for inspiration, for understanding, for hope, for story. They told star stories steeped in mystery that became myth and framed their world. The great myths taught their children of good and bad and how to live in harmony with the mysteries that surround us. Stories of great heroes, of wise women, of hunters and tricksters and angry gods, of nature and nurture. Enmeshed in the cycles of the year as they were, the people knew that the changes in the stars marked changes in the seasons. The Big Dipper, always visible in the northern hemisphere, is higher in the sky in spring, falls back down toward the horizon in autumn, changing its position day after day, month after month. Big Dipper is part of the constellation Ursus Major, the Great Bear. And as the Algonquin myth goes, the Great Bear falls low in the evening sky because it's been injured by hunters, blood flowing out to change the trees it touches from green to red. These stories, told when family or tribe gathered together, followed the cycles of the year and were rich and varied. They provided a sense of place and time and connection. As they wove their stories together, they were unaware that others in faraway places were doing much the same, looking up at their own stars, telling and retelling myths not so different from their own. It's been suggested, in fact, that myths evolved with human beings from the beginnings of language. While Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung tried to explain the commonality of myths across the globe as an expression of some sort of unified subconscious, a much simpler truth might be that these myths have a common origin and traveled with us as we made our way as a species out of Africa and spread ourselves across the globe, taking our stories with us. Using the data from anthropologist Claude Lévi-Strauss and others, French historian Julien Dewey has created a phylogenetic tree of the cosmic hunt story, for example, that traces its many branches and variations around the globe, all the way back to common roots thousands and thousands of years ago. Aspects of the story's structure and the use of the same constellations links the Greek telling to the Algonquin and show that other branches of the tale have moved to the Americas at different times over the course of several thousand years. And yet there were important psychological foundations to these stories and to the ritual of their telling. Each mythos, or later each religion that developed out of these myths, served four important functions in human identity. First, the various creation myths opened the human mind to the underlying mystery of the universe and the wonder that we feel in simply being alive. Stories, as they were heard and absorbed, helped answer the primal questions of who am I and where did I come from and to whom do I belong? As novelist Thomas Mann wrote in his book on ancient myths, myth is the garment of mystery. Second, in alignment with the great mystery, myths function to tell us how things are ordered in this world, sometimes no less mysterious, why the sun rises or why the rains come when they do. In our time, this is the realm of science, and yet as much as we know, there are still elements of mystery and wonder to the cycles of life and death. The fact that we can view a comet last seen by both Neanderthal and Homo sapien touches something deep inside us and connects us to a deep past. Or consider the wonder that we feel when we simply watch a spectacular sunset. We know that certain atmospheric conditions lend themselves to a good show, but we still gaze at it with awe as it unfolds. Third, there's the collective lore that enriches the sense of community, clearly identifying the people to whom you belong and those who are considered other. These myths do vary from place to place or religion to religion, validating particular social perspectives and mores and providing them with ethical grounding, lessons learned through legends told. The fourth function of myth or religion falls out of the first three, and it's the distillation of all the lessons telling us how to live a human lifetime under any circumstances, how not just to survive, but to persevere and thrive in relationship with other beings. In religion, these things often become codified into the essential texts. Joseph Campbell, whose work in comparative mythology blossomed into our awareness already 50 years ago, likened these mythos to a software code that tells a computer how to operate. He once took that analogy further, acknowledging that there are certainly different operating systems that could work. Now, if you had a mythology for the mystery that is the Father, you're going to have a different set of signals from what you would have if the metaphor for the wisdom and mystery of the world were the Mother. And of course, there are many more possibilities than just those two. And it's interesting, too, that Campbell offered an example that falls within the context of a duality, because today we're still struggling to free ourselves from seeing the world in terms of dualities, us or them, man or woman, good or evil, truth or falsehood. Despite what we've learned, despite the fact dualistic thinking doesn't jive with our current understanding of ourselves or the universe, we still find it difficult to make the shift away from those binaries. Yet what we often fail to realize is that the remnants of all the old stories survive within us like shards of broken pottery, as Campbell said. They're still part of our operating software, picked up like strands of code from fairy tales and scripture, from stories and media. Bill Moyer, whose interviews with Joseph Campbell were famous, once quipped that it's like the music we dance to even when we cannot name the tune. Our software is a collection of old, shattered, and abandoned mythos, and even some new ones like the myth of the American dream that still has a place in our hearts despite the fact that it never served everyone, and it's come to serve even fewer people as the balance of wealth and power shifts into the hands of only a few. If we, as individuals, have a hard time shaking out those dusty shards, imagine how difficult it is for long-standing religious institutions. Religions that can't evolve beyond their own parochialism, that can't get but past believing in the absolute truth of a written creed, that can't go beyond the duality of believer and non-believer. Our mythos stuck in time, and at their extreme, unfortunately, in our world today, we are facing the results of that, the kind of fundamentalism that exists that tries to defy change. And yet, if Campbell and psychologists like Carl Jung were correct, and myth both points to and answers some fundamental human need, then where are we? Lost between the old mythologies and some new vision that has yet to be told. What we need, and perhaps what people like Campbell and sociologist Robert Bellah and Karen Armstrong have been telling us for some time, is something to get us out of our own self-important and parochial worlds, some sort of countering action to our short-sightedness, something that gets us beyond our societal ADHD, some big audacious challenge or goal, some new mythos perhaps, which encourages us to stop and take a longer communal view, where longer doesn't just mean years, but decades or centuries. The mythologist's quest is not just to help find that vision, as Campbell expressed it, but it's to find the commonality of themes in the myths of the past that would point to a constant requirement in our human psyche for a centering in terms of deep principles, a vision that connects us one to the other and to all of creation, and thus demands of us responsible and ethical action. Not so much a search for meaning, but a search for the experience of being fully alive in the world with other beings together. Campbell was not ready to throw away all the old myths. He saw value in old stories as long as they were removed from the grip of tribalism or idolatry. If we could see, for example, the universality of the stories surrounding the celebrations of the dead and allow both our children and ourselves to play with the idea of death outside of an immediate loss. Or perhaps the story that evolved around the birth of Jesus, the idea, as our own educator, Sophia Lyons-Faz, put it so beautifully, each night a child is born is a holy night, a time for singing, for wondering, for worshiping. The purity of the newborn, the hero's adventure, the trickster who reveals an important truth. These are the stuff of myth and are not to be diminished. All work on our psyches and point to something greater than the individuals involved. Not necessarily mysterious, but full of wonder and rich in meaning. Stories like these acquire a life of their own, a place in our cultural vocabulary. They are the stuff of myth and are of value still. To Campbell, mythology was the song of the universe, the music of the spheres to which we move. Myth, he said, allows us to see life as a poem and ourselves as participating in that poem, lifting out of purely factual, mundane, day-to-day living and imbuing it with something more. Would it be wonder, perhaps? Something that underscores the dignity of each and every person, connecting each life to a past that had provided rich lessons, a present in which we can add to the bounty handed to us, and a future where the lives of our children and our children's children will continue to be enriched, and where those riches will be passed on and on again. Before Joseph Campbell died in 1987, he expressed a hope that the climate crisis, at that point still a very new and controversial idea, would stir human beings to adopt a unifying vision, one that was embodied in the image of the Earthrise over the moon's horizon. It was and is a hope shared by many people, and while that image has proved threatening to some who hold religious, political, or economic power, a vision of no borders, shared resources, a vision of the global village, it is still a powerful one. But new myths do not happen overnight. They arise from a people who embody the vision, who gather in community and tell and retell the stories that transcend our daily distractions and speak to universal truths. It is for all of us, skeptics and believers alike, to give in to the wonder and awe of being alive in this world with all its trials and tribulations, and let ourselves sing and dance to the music of the spheres that can only be heard if we stop and listen.
The offering that we take here each Sunday is an opportunity to recommit to this place and to all the people here. It's as much a ritual as singing together and lighting the chalice. It's a reminder of that form of love which we call generosity. Your financial contributions support our mission to grow intellectually and spiritually. Your generous support enables us to build greater peace, justice, and love in our congregation and in the world. For those online, a contribution can be mailed to the address that's on the screen, or you can use our website, uunaples.org. We are truly grateful for all the gifts received.
We tell each other stories so that we will remember. Try to find the meaning in the living of our days. Always telling stories, wanting to remember where and whom we came from. Sometimes there's a story that's painful to remember, one that breaks the heart of us all. Still we tell the story, we're listening and confessing what we have forgotten in the story of us all. We tell each other stories so that we will remember, trying to find the meaning.
I have some quick reminders of what's happening this week at UUCGN. After the service today, we have another important forum with Sandy Parker, who is the founder, publisher, and author of Sparker's Soapbox, whose mission is to facilitate and encourage informed voting and civic participation in Collier County and throughout Florida. Number 2, next week's forum will bring a panel of excellent speakers together to discuss Amendment 4. Very big deal. And Amendment 4 is aimed at putting reproductive health care decisions back into the hands of Florida citizens, not the hands of politicians. Number 3, This week's Wonderful Wednesday offering will be the first of a year-long series with Reverend Tony Fisher focusing on world religions. Sounds great. The series begins by looking at myths, which we started looking at today, and other cultural and historical factors leading to the formation of the major religions that we know today. Next, the annual UUCGN Pumpkin Carving and Fall Fest takes place next Saturday beginning at 5:30 right out on the pavilion. Everybody's welcome. It's BYOP, bring your own pumpkin. But everything else will be supplied. However, we do need to know if you're planning to come. So please sign up online, or you can see Patty Friedberg on the pavilion during coffee hour. Also, there's a forum, super important. There's a forum on Amendment 4 next Sunday after the service. So put that in your calendar. And always, you can check on details in the newsletters or the weekly news blasts. Okay, now let's rise and sing together our closing hymn. Actually, is it We Celebrate the... Thank you. I had two different songs written here. We Celebrate the Web of Life, number 175 in the gray hymnal. Enjoy.
We celebrate the web of life, its magnitude we sing, for we can see divinity in every living thing. A fragment of the perfect whole in cactus and in quail, as much in tiny barnacle as in the great blue whale. Of ancient dreams we are the sum, our bones link stone to star, and bind our future worlds to come with worlds that were and are. Respect the water, land, and air, which gave all creatures birth. Protect the lives of all that share the glory of the earth.
Can you hear them? Can you hear the whispers of the ancestors? Their stories in these walls, in our bones, in the air we breathe. Their stories are in the touch of a calloused hand, in the melody of the songs we hum while washing dishes. In remembered faces, we hear the whispers of the ancestors, how their stories touch our lives and call us into becoming. Go in peace, go in love. Have a wonderful day.